My understanding is that these gatherings out in Katy, specifically, it's to help focus all the people who come on the month of Damodar, or the Kartik month. So this evening, that's the intention, is to speak something about Damodara Lila, and specifically about this month, the month of Kartik. And I think you'll find some interesting details. In Krishna's childhood, he appeared in Vrndavan, but the very evening that that made his appearance, he requested his father to shift him from the western side of the river Jamuna to the eastern side of the river Jamuna for fear of Kamsa. Right? So in a basket, Vasudeva was carrying Krishna, and there was a storm that night, this tumultuous storm, and he made the crossing safely. When he got to the eastern side, what Vasudeva did was he placed Krishna by the side of Nanda and Yashoda, by the side of Yashoda, because she had, that very same evening, Yashoda had given birth to a female child. So the arrangement was made for the switch. This was a very specific instruction that Krishna gave. In his four-armed form in the prison house of Kamsa, Krishna assumed a childlike form, and then there was a switch. That is, Krishna was placed by the side of Yashoda, and the female child was taken back across the river to the western side of the river Jamuna into the prison house of Kamsa in Mathura. So as far as Kamsa was concerned, the 8th child of Devaki was a female, not a male. You with me? So when the female child, he tried to smash the female child against a rock like he had killed the other first six children of Devaki. The child slipped from his hand, flew into the sky, laughed at Kamsa, and said, "The 8th child of Devaki has already been born, and that 8th child of Devaki will kill you." And then she disappeared. That was Durga. So now Kamsa was left looking for, where's that 8th child of Devaki that's going to kill him? And the first demon he sent was Putana. She had 2 assignments: find, second, kill. She found, and instead she was killed. So that was the first demoness. And then, so Krishna is on the eastern side of the river Jamuna. So when you visit Vrndavan, if you want to visit the place where the Damodara Lila took place, the Damodara Lila Sthala, you have to, it's not in Vrndavan town. It's on the other side of river Jamuna, in Gokul. So there's a place we'll visit, virtually at least, the place where Damodara Lila took place. The Damodar, Damo, or Dama, means ropes, and Udara means around his waist or his abdomen. So Mother Yasoda bound Krishna around the waist with ropes. Thus the name Damodar. The various places of the Vrndavan pastimes of Krishna, that the place is non-different than the personality of Godhead or spiritually powerful like the personality of Godhead. Here's Jiva Goswami's commentary on a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The method of Raga Nuga Sadhana Bhakti, if possible, one should live physically in the places where Krishna lived, such as Vrndavan. If one cannot do that, then the person should live there mentally. So live there mentally means, or one of the ways is, by hearing these pastimes. One's mind, properly absorbed, can be mentally or virtually with Krishna. During the entire month of Kartik, according to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it's a common practice which we do in ISKCON and all over the world, devotees do. They offer a lamp. In various ways, they observe the Kartik Vrata, because the Kartik, this month of Kartik, is especially important. And one of the ways that we do is by offering the lamp during the Damodara Astaka. Now here's a little background on this Damodara Astaka song that we sing. The author is Satyavrata Muni, and Sanatana Goswami has some very nice things to say about it. He makes reference in Hari Bhakti Vilas to the origin of this song. It's spoken by Satyavrata Muni to Narada Muni and to Shanak Rishi in Padma Purana. Sanatana Goswami states in his commentary on this Hari Bhakti Vilas that this particular Damodar Astaka is a Nitya Siddha prayer, eternally perfect prayer. That's pretty good. Which was manifest through Satyavrata Muni, and that it actually is capable of attracting Damodar Krishna. By singing this song, according to Hari Bhakti Vilas, Krishna is very pleased. There's this particular benediction. Anyone who recites or even hears this prayer, especially in the month of Kartik, will attract the eternal shelter of devotional service at the lotus feet of Sri Damodar. So that's nice. It's a ritual in one sense, but there's a purpose behind it. And the purpose behind it is to please Krishna, to attract Krishna, to satisfy Krishna. There's a lengthy section in Hari Bhakti Vilas that describes this Kartik Vrata. Just as there's no yuga equal to Satya Yuga, no scripture equal to the Vedas, and no place of pilgrimage equal to the Ganges, so there is no month equal to Kartika, the most dear to Lord Krishna. And many, 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 many scriptural references are found in this section of Hari Bhakti Vilas. And there's another Mathura Mahatmya section that's found in Padma Purana. And commentators, Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, abundantly glorify the Kartik month. We're in the Kartik month, so this is something about the Kartik month. It's a nice detail. The nice detail is that Radharani's mother, what's Radharani's mother's name? Kirtida. So Kirtida is also Kritika. Thus Radharani is sometimes addressed by Rupa Goswami as Kartika, who's the daughter of Kirtika, or born of Kirtika. So this is Radharani's month. This is Radharani's month. Very dear to Krishna is Srimati Radharani. Very dear to Krishna is the month of Kartik. It's Radharani's month. And in his writings, from time to time, Rupa Goswami specifically refers to Radharani as Kartika Devi. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or Our Nectar of Devotion, there are 64 items that are particularly recommended out of the numerous things that one can do for spiritual progress. There's 64 items, and one of those 64 items that are especially effective is observing Kartik. So that's what we're doing. Adi Varaha Purana speaks in the following way: O Earth Goddess, 60 billion sacred places reside in my Mathura. So the Mathura Mahatmya section. Here we're going to make a visit to the place where the Damodara Lila occurred. It's in Gokul. There's 12 forests in Vrndavan, and one of them is Mahavan. And this particular temple is called Ulukala Bandha Temple. So here's what it looks like from the outside, including the motorcycle right at the gate. But, the paintings on the outside indicate what's on the inside. And let's go inside. You go inside and make a left, and this is what you see. There's the archway, and then behind that little red hundi box, fire engine red hundi box, is what they say is the grinding mortar that Krishna was bound to. And the little footprints on the right side, that's Krishna's footprints, little baby footprints. And the grinding mortar, this is what they have on display. Can you fix this? That was not nice.
Everything noted. Right, we're off to the new sign in the crossroad. Ready?
Well, Mark, I'll need you to help me put up a new porch at Mrs. Broadbent's house. But first, we've got to wait for Travis to come and collect it.
Wow.
Scoop will help you load it into the trailer, then Travis can take it to the farm.
Is that all? Not very exciting. Plans show that the sign should go here.
Oh, there, on the left. It's not full screen, but I can work with this better than that other, whatever that other was. So this is what the temple has on display as the I guess you could say the artifacts. Here's decorated on Damodar Astaka, Damodara Lila Day. And a way that this particular pastime is described in Scripture, a bondage better than liberation. Here's the text. This is Chanaka Pandit Niti Shastra. There are many ways of binding by which one can be dominated and controlled in this world. But the bond of love and affection is the strongest. For example, take the case of the humble bee. Although expert at piercing hardened wood, the bumblebee gets caught in the embrace of the beloved lotus flower as the petals close at dusk. As you know, a lotus during the daytime opens. When the sun rises, the lotus opens. When the sun sets, the lotus closes. Now sometimes the bumblebee, as indicated in the text up above, when the lotus closes, the bumblebee gets trapped inside the petals of the lotus. So that same bumblebee that's able to penetrate hard wood gets bound by the ropes or by the petals of the lotus flower. So it's in the same way, in exactly the same way, Krishna is bound by the love of Mother Yasoda, not by the ropes of Mother Yasoda. So here's a little description of the Leela. And with the assistance of Jiva Goswami and some other commentators, here's Jiva Goswami. This pastime took place on Diwali Day. And on Diwali Day, Mother Yasoda began to contemplate. Many of my friends, they complain that Damodar, my son, breaks into their storerooms and steals butter. But what's the reason for that? Because do you know how much butter Nanda Maharaj and our storeroom has? So why does Krishna need to go to other storerooms? It must be that my assistants, the maids, they don't know how to make butter properly. So today is Diwali. I'll give them the day off. They can go home and be with their families, and I'll make the butter. So that was the plan. That was Mother Yasoda's plan. And those that have ever, if you've ever made butter from milk, you'll know, we've tried this in our temples, better butter comes from dahi than from milk. So you churn, first you convert the milk into dahi, and then churn the dahi, and it makes better butter. It works. So that's what she did. It seemed that my maidservant did not make the butter nicely, therefore my son goes to steal butter from other gopis. So today, Diwali, I will churn the butter. And they went home. So there's Mother Yasoda preparing to churn the butter. So what she did, this is a nice description from Scripture. She took of the 900,000 cows, in her estimation, 10,000 of those 900,000 cows were very special. And they were given very special quality grass. And after milking these 10,000 cows, the milk from these 10,000 cows were given to 1,000 very, very special cows. And then after milking these 1,000 very special cows, milk was taken from them, given to 100 very, very, very special cows. And after milking the 100 cows, the milk was given to 10 very, very, that's 4 varies, special cows. The milk of these 10 cows would be as fragrant as a lotus flower. After milking these 10 cows, Mother Jasoda made dahi. Today, she would herself churn the dahi into butter. First, she laid Krishna down to sleep, and then she started churning the dahi. So that's the system. There's a vertical rod, and there's 2 ropes, top and bottom, that hold the rod, and then she would churn. And as she was churning, she sang songs of Krishna. And Mother Jasoda didn't need a songbook because she was spontaneous. She would sing songs, spontaneous songs about Krishna, and she's churning butter. And as she was churning the butter, she had bangles on her wrists. And the bangles on her wrist, as she moved the rope back and forth, it made a clinking sound like cartels. Ching, 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 ching. And the butter urn had a paddle in the middle. So that sounded like a mridanga. Boom, 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 ching, 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 boom, boom. And she sang, she was a one-man band, singing bhajans and glorification, spontaneous bhajans and glorification of Krishna. And that was very nice, except Krishna woke up. There's a nice description. These are the descriptions of how Mother Jasoda is dressed, is described by Rupa Goswami as stimulations of ecstatic love, or udipan. So hearing the description of, if you were in a Rasika Bhakta, just hearing this description, it would inspire particular affection for Mother Yasoda. Dressed in saffron yellow sari, with a belt tied about her full hips, Mother Yasoda pulled the churning rod, laboring consideringly, her bangles and earrings moving and vibrating, with her whole body shaking. Now there's a nice Vaishnava poet named Hari Suri, and he's made some commentary on this pastime. Here's one of those translations of his pastimes. Once love for me is attained, this is Krishna, there is no question of fear of Yamaraj, who carries the rod, Kritanta Ja, the rod of death chastisement. When it comes to my devotees, it is I who become Danda Dhara, the holder of the rod. So Krishna reached out the rod for churning butter. Krishna grabbed hold of the rod for churning butter so that Mother Yasoda couldn't move the churning rod anymore. And she understood what that meant. She was, stop and feed me. So she stopped churning the butter, and she placed Krishna on her lap. And it's a very beautiful painting. She sat Krishna cross-legged because she was planning to breastfeed him. And there she is looking in Krishna's eyes, and Krishna's looking in her eyes. And they sat like that for quite some time because it was very charming and enchanting and, very sweet, loving exchange. Vatsalya Rasa. But look carefully at this painting. Over in the right-hand side of the painting, that shows a stove. And on the stove, there's a pot of milk, and the milk started to boil over. And Mother Jasoda began considering, using her rational faculty, I can feed Krishna later, but if the milk that's on the stove boils over, it'll be spoiled. So I should rescue the milk that's on the stove first, and then I can come back and feed Krishna second. That was her contemplation. Then Harisuri describes the milk on the stove was contemplating suicide. This is, of course, his poetic expression. The boiling milk thought, here is the Lord, by remembering whose name all the burning heat of this material world is driven away, yet I am the only one who is still burning. In his personal presence, fie upon me and my existence. Seeing that the milk was thinking in this way and contemplating suicide, jumping into the fire, the Lord made arrangements for Yashoda, the personification of truth and joy, to see that spilling milk. So out of the corner of her eyes, she saw the milk starting to boil over. There's a second reason. When the milk on the stove saw that Hari was drinking the breast milk of Mother Jasoda, he jumped into the fire. It's generally seen, this is Harisuri's poetic description, it is generally seen in the world that where one godbrother makes more progress than others, the other godbrothers become envious of him, seeing his progress. Both milks, the milk in Mother Jasoda's breast and the milk on the stove, are related as godbrothers. So there she goes. She went to the stove to rescue the milk on the stove. And then when Krishna left, or when Mother Jasoda left to rescue the milk on the stove, Krishna became restless. So we know what Krishna did. Krishna took a stone, and with the stone, he smashed the butter pot and began eating the contents. And when Mother Jasoda came back, she saw the broken pot. She saw the footprints of Krishna going away, because when Krishna saw Mother Jasoda coming back, he ran in fear. But when he ran in fear, he left little footprints from the butter that was at the bottom of the butter pot. And she followed the mark of his footprints that led to the storeroom for holding the dairy products in her own home. So you see in her hand, there's this little lati, little stick. And as Krishna saw Mother Jasoda come, he was feeding the monkeys and sitting on top of the grinding mortar. And he was doing what Krishna does, makhan chor, stealing butter. And here's a nice painting, unusual painting. There's Mother Jasoda peering around the corner, seeing there's Krishna and Balaram, and they're feeding the monkeys, along with taking the butter and enjoying themselves. Now, I've never seen monkeys so polite like this, reaching out and saying, please, can I have some too? But anyway, that's the artist's depiction. Here's another BBT artwork. And when Mother Jasoda saw Krishna, Krishna heard her, and he got up and ran once again. And as he's running, Mother Jasoda was pursuing Krishna with her little lati in her hand. And when she was running behind him, she finally caught up with him from behind, because Krishna allowed her to catch him from behind, and he started to cry. And he started to cry, his fearful eyes were looking at the little stick in her hand. So when she saw his tears and saw his eyes looking at the stick, she threw the stick away. And instead, she decided, now I've caught him, and I have a young son, and it's my responsibility to train him to not steal. I don't mind that he eats butter, but I do mind that he steals, because supposing he grows up and becomes a professional thief. So I can't have that. I have to train him to not steal. So I have to scold him. So she decided the way that she would do that was a system at the time. Today's world, who knows? She might be in jail for child abuse or something. But she was going to bind him to a rope, to the grinding mortar. And apparently that was a standard way in village life where a small child that was naughty would be bound by rope to teach a certain lesson. But we know the Damodara Lila, when she tried to bind him with rope, it wouldn't go around his waist. So here's a nice commentary describing when Mother Yasoda was trying to bind the offending child, she saw that the binding rope was short by the width of 2 fingers. Then she brought another rope to join to it. It's just rational faculty. You have, the rope isn't big enough, so we'll get 2 ropes. Tie the 2 ropes together. It should go around his waist. But it didn't go around his waist. And then commentary explains why. And there's some Sanskrit involved in this commentary. There's Krishna didn't want to be bound. So when Krishna doesn't want, then it can't happen. That is his Vibhuti Shakti. We know from chapter 10 Bhagavad Gita, opulence of the absolute, right? And the title of that chapter in Sanskrit is Vibhuti Yoga. What's Vibhuti? Vibhuti means opulence, and it's specifically opulences that are of this world. Opulences that are of this world are vibhutis, and so there's a whole chapter describing opulences of Krishna in this world. Then there's the opulences of Krishna in the spiritual world. That's a different name. Bhaga. The 6 opulences of Bhagavan are bhagas. So one of his unlimited potencies is his Vibhuta Shakti. And he displayed his Vibhuta Shakti inspired by his Satya Sankalpa Shakti. This is an important teaching about Krishna, or the Absolute Truth. The Absolute Truth includes the Shaktis of the Absolute Truth. So he, Krishna, being the source of everything, is both the source and the everything. So there's many spiritual Shaktis and material Shaktis. So Satya Sankalpa Shakti means he has this sankalpa, or whatever his desire or intention is, will be fulfilled just by desiring it. That means by his desire, or his sankalpa, or his ichcha shakti, he just desires something and it happens. He didn't have to do anything, like creation. He just desires it and voila, it happens. Now, there's sequences of things that happen. That's the expanding and extending of his potencies. And then the cosmic manifestation, everything is maintained and everything is withdrawn after some time. All by his potencies, and he doesn't have to lift a pinky. So, Mother Yasoda was unable to bind Krishna because Krishna didn't want to be bound. His Satya Sankalpa Shakti activated his Vibhuti Shakti, and this lengthy rope wouldn't go around Krishna. Now, Mother Yasoda, she doesn't see Krishna as the supreme. She sees Krishna as her darling son. And he's been naughty, and she has to teach him not to steal. So she gets rope to try to bind him. Mother Yasoda's friends, the elderly gopis in the neighborhood, were smiling and enjoying the fun. Similarly, Mother Yashoda, although laboring in that way, was also smiling. All of them were struck with wonder. The wonder was this: a rope 100 hastas, or 150 feet, does not fit around my son's waist, which measures only 1 fist. His small waist is not getting any bigger, and the rope is certainly not getting any shorter, but still the rope does not reach around him. This is the first amazing thing. Furthermore, when I tie the ropes together, each time it's 2 fingers short, not 3 or 4 fingers. This is the second amazing thing. So there's a reason for the 2 fingers. We'll hear the 2 reasons shortly. But so there's another description. She went to she's in the storeroom. To take care of cows, you need rope. So Nanda Maharaj had so much rope, and she tied this rope together with that rope, together with that rope, and it was still 2 fingers too short. So then she started getting an anxiety. What's going on? And perspiring and flowers falling from her hair. Here's another reason why the rope could not bind him. This is Hari Suri again. When the Supreme Lord gazes upon anyone with his all-merciful glance, that person no longer knows any bondage, bandha. It is therefore justified that when he glanced upon the rope, which was trying to bind him, that very rope could no longer perform the function of bandha, bandhana. Again, Hari Suri commenting on this pastime. Krishna's mercy, which reigns as the king of all potencies and illuminates all others, melts the heart of the Lord and turns it into butter. So Krishna became merciful. He saw the perspiration on Mother Yasoda's forehead. He saw the flowers falling from her hair. So he decided to withdraw his Satya Sankalpa Shakti and Vibhuta Shakti. They disappeared. And instead, he exhibited his Kripa Shakti. Because without Krishna's Kripa, or Krishna's mercy, no one can do anything. Mother Yasoda can't bind Krishna, or nothing can happen without the mercy of Krishna. So when he expanded his Kripa Shakti, the Bhakta Nishtha, that's Mother Yashoda, in her tireless endeavors to serve and worship the Lord, and the Swanishta, the quality of Krishna, that he's very merciful, caused Krishna to be bound. So there's the 2 fingers too short. One is the effort of Mother Yasoda, and the other is the mercy of Krishna. So the lesson is, in order to achieve anything, not just bind Krishna and Damodara Lila, but anything that we may do in Krishna's service, 2 factors are required: effort and mercy. So because the mercy part was not being exhibited, Krishna, he didn't want to be bound. That's okay. So you can't bind Krishna if he doesn't want to be bound. But when he saw the difficulty that Mother Yasoda was in, he withdrew what he desired and placed her desire in the foreground, his Kripa Shakti manifest. So Bhakta Nishtha and Sva Nishtha, when they're both present, she was able to bind Krishna. So there we see in this nice painting, she's binding Krishna to the grinding mortar. Hari Suri writes, how was Yashoda finally able to bind Krishna with rope? Here's his verse. My devotees, gunas, or the ropes, or good qualities, may fall short, but because the devotee is close to my heart, I myself will complete those gunas, as if indicating this fact, the unlimited, complete completed the incomplete gunas of Mother Yashoda. So she was able to bind Krishna, and Krishna's looking a little fearful, but he permitted. This is his Leela, the binding of Mother Yashoda. In the strict sense, it's not Damodara Lila, it's Yashoda Damodara Lila. Now, there's another part to this little presentation. Sometimes, beside the Yashoda Damodar Lila, is called the Radha Damodar Lila, and where Radharani binds Damodar. Now, there are 3 versions, because this question was asked, so I did a little research, and here's what I came up with. Jiva Goswami's Priti Sandarbha, he describes as follows. In Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 32, it's described another kind of gopi, a gopi who thinks Krishna is mine. This gopi, guess who that gopi is situated in the midst of the gopis. Her position is very rare and exalted. She has a special kind of love for Krishna, thinking, Krishna is my property. She stares at him with frowning glances and enjoys other like pastimes with him. This particular gopi is Sri Radha. Her exalted position is described in these words, describing the month of Kartik at the Vraja Ratnakara Dhrita, part of Vavishta Purana. Quote, that evening, Lord Krishna went to Radha's home. Angry, she bound his waist with her own sash. Telling her about a great festival at his home, Lord Krishna pacified his beloved Radha, and she set him free. So Radharani also bound Krishna. This is from Priti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami's writing. Here's another reference, Jiva Goswami's Radha Krishna Archana Dipika. And it spans several texts. In Goloka Vrndavan, Lord Krishna eternally assumes a youthful form. In this form, he enjoys in various ways, along with his beloved, Srimati Radhika. Once, during the Kartik month, he stayed home to celebrate the festival arranged by Purnamasi. Due to the festivities that day, he arrived late at night to meet Sri Radhika. In a state of anger, she tied him up using her waistband as a rope. Krishna then narrated everything that had taken place at his home that caused the delay. This story appeased her, after which Krishna said to her, O slender-waisted Radhika, I am most satisfied by this action of you in binding me lovingly by your waistband. O beautiful lady, this name of mine, Damodar, has now become dearer to me. In this world of mine, no other name is as dear to me as this name. By chanting this name, one will always have children and will attain all perfection, along with the rarest form of devotional service. One will also be able to stay eternally in my abode by chanting these names. Jiva Goswami is making reference. In the near future, when Mother Yashoda will bind me to the mortar, this name of mine will be manifest in the material world. In this month of Kartik, one who worships me with you according to the rules of scriptures will attain the fulfillment of all desires. So that's a nice reference. Another Jiva Goswami writing. And Krishna Das Kaviraj, this is the third, he makes reference in Krishna Karnamrita to some commentary from Bhavishyotara Purana. Having missed a rendezvous with Srimati Radhika, Krishna was passionately frowned upon by her and was subsequently bound by her golden waistband. He then proceeded to offer the explanation that his delay was due to the great festival of Kartik month that was being celebrated by his mother. I meditate on him, who thus became known as Damodar, who in this bound condition offered many excellent words of flattery with erect boost bumps on his body. And here's a fourth. This is Bhakti Siddhanta making some similar commentary from the same scriptural source, Bhavishyotara Purana, telling Radha that Radha used a ribbon from her hair. Bhakti Siddhanta is writing. So those are four references where Radha also bound, as Mother Jasoda bound Krishna. So this Damodar Lila can have a prefix, Yashoda Damodar or Radha Damodar. Now here's the Radha Damodar deity of Jiva Goswami. Well, at least it's the Damodar portion, because as many of you know, Jiva Goswami was the nephew and the only disciple of Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami became inspired to make, personally with his own hand, carve this deity of Damodar for his disciple, Jiva Goswami, and for the rest of his life, Jiva Goswami worshipped this deity. So this is the Damodar deity that originally came from Vindhya Parvat mountain and now is being worshipped in Jaipur. The deities of Vrndavan were shifted because of Aurangzeb, with fear that he might smash the deities. So on one side of Radha is one side of Damodar is Radha, the other side is Lalita. So here's a close-up photo of those deities. On the altar today, at the Radha Damodar temple in Vrndavan, there's a replacement deity or pratibhu deity. This is a very large deity, and here's a close-up of that very large deity. And finally, there's some nice ISKCON history. Some of you may know the ISKCON history of Vishnu Jan Swami establishing a traveling bus program. And once upon a time, Vishnu Jan Swami was like the hero of the Los Angeles temple. He was celebrated kirtanir. I mean, super wonderful kirtanir. And he had the desire to take the chanting of the holy name in every town and village in America. So with Prabhupada's permission, he got a bus. And on the bus, he had sound equipment. And the sound equipment went from one college campus to another college campus and all over the country. It became, a celebrated feature of the Harinam Sankirtan party of Srila Prabhupada. And after some time, Vishnu Jan Swami asked Prabhupada if he could establish deities and place deities on the bus. So approval was given, and these are the deities that he traveled with for years. My first encounter with Radha Damodar, just a little sharing, was in Manhattan in Harlem. Now, I don't know if those of you from Houston, Texas, Harlem probably doesn't mean anything to you, but it's a black neighborhood. It's the upper, the 120s, and they took the Radha Damodar on a palanquin out of the bus and placed Radha Damodar on the sidewalk on 125th Street in Harlem. And I thought, yikes. It's dangerous neighborhood. But, they placed the deity right on their palanquin on the sidewalk and had kirtan. And the passers-by were charmed by seeing the deity. And then afterwards, the deity went back onto the bus. And that was my first acquaintance with the deity. I knew Vishnu Jan Swami because he was a celebrity. But after some time, when the bus program wound down, the deities needed a place to stay, so the deities ended up being cared for in their farm community in Pennsylvania, Gitanagari. So this photograph of Radha Damodar is from the Gitanagari farm. And every year for 35 years, I've been conducting retreats in Gitanagari over the Memorial Day weekend, and it's a nice event. Many devotees come from all over the countryside to participate. Shishi Radha Damodar Ki Jai. So that's our little presentation for the Kartik month. Let's see if there's some discussion. Now, there's probably some newer people. You may have some questions about the Kartik month and how does it work and how do we observe it. Mainly, our observance is offering of a lamp to the form of Radha Damodar or the Shoda Damodar, or offering a lamp to Damodar, singing this song by Satyavrata Muni that appears in Padma Purana. And there are other ways we can observe Kartik. There are devotees that have a vow for the whole month of Kartik, something that they'll do, or something that they'll eat, or something that they won't eat, or something, some chanting, some prayers. So it's Kartik Vrata is particularly recommended in our Vaishnava literature, Hari Bhakti Vilas in particular, as we discussed already. So any comments or question? There's a nice Yasoda Damodar photo. I guess we're going to offer a lamp at the end. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the class. You showed the picture of Damodara Sthali in Vrndavan. There were two stones there. What are they, Maharaj? One I understood to be the grinding mortar.
That's the bowl-looking thing. That's the grinding. It's the vessel that held the yogurt. And then there's the grinding mortar that went into the vessel that held the yogurt. Oh. And then there's the other, it says lotus feet.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Anything else? Yes.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. We are listening this Damodara Lila for so long. First time I heard about the Radharani also bound the Krishna. So I know this is a little silly question. So Radharani had the same issues what Yashoda Maya was having while tying the Krishna two short finger, or she was able to tie.
It's a different pastime. The circumstance is thus the Leela is different, but she wasn't binding Krishna because he was naughty, having stolen butter. She was, in her Man Leela, being angry because Krishna was late. But Krishna was late for these reasons given. At his home, Mother Yasoda wanted him to be present while she was observing some festivities for the Kartik month, and therefore he was late. And so she was angry, and her waistband bound Krishna with her waistband. The circumstance is different. The Leela is being bound around the waist by Yashoda, being bound around the waist by Radha. Different circumstance. Thus, same Damodar, Damo Udara.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Okay?
Mother Yashoda's in this all of the childhood pastimes. She has intense love for Krishna,
Yes.
and she thinks he's an ordinary child. He's ignorant of his divinity.
Yeah.
In the material world, there are mothers who also have intense love for their children,
Yes.
and they are in fact ordinary children, but the spirit is the same. So qualitatively, clearly there is a difference between the love, but superficially it would look that
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah. Yes. So what's the difference? The object is the difference, and let's say, let's do it the other way around. The affinity of a mother for her child is completely natural. It's true in all species of life, not just human species of life. You know, the mother of the dependent child has affection, natural affection for the child. And so where does that come from? That's a good question. It comes from that which is the source of everything. The source of everything has that same propensity, but with the personality of Godhead at the center. And so there's parental affection in the spiritual world, and from that parental affection in the spiritual world, this material affection is reflection. Just like the example in Bhagavad Gita of a tree by the side of a lake, and then there's a reflection of the tree in the lake. So this is a reflection of that. This exists because of that. So that the true transcendental affection of parental affection is existing between Mother Yashoda and Krishna. And yes, it looks alike. The affection of mother, not just human, any species, the affection of mother for dependent is completely natural. It should be that way. It is that way. And it's it's not to be broken, but it's to be spiritualized or lifted to the spiritual conception. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. So in the beginning you mentioned about Damodara Astaka as a perfected one. What does that mean?
What does it? What mean?
The perfected one. Damodara Astaka prayers. Nitya Siddha.
So what's your question?
My question is like, what does, so when we talk about Nitya Siddha,
What's the meaning?
yeah, meaning in reference
You know
to
the meaning.
No, I know meaning, Guru Maharaj, but the meaning in the reference to a person or a devotee is understood, but in reference to a
So Sanatana Goswami is giving some instruction or some teaching, and the instruction is there's perfection, and there's a prayer that can assist one to come to the stage of perfection, and this is such a prayer. It's a prayer that is from the spiritual strata, and it comes to this realm, and it's that kind of a prayer. It's a prayer of perfection. And because we're going to sing it shortly, so we're not perfect, but by singing this song of perfection, it has potency, power to bring one to the stage of perfection. It's in words of encouragement, but it's a fact. It's not just encouragement. And how do we know? The authority of Sanatana Goswami. So we accept the authority of Sanatana Goswami to know what's existing in the spiritual world. Now, is there some scriptural reference for him to make such a statement? Probably. But he doesn't give that scriptural reference. He just states, this is this Nitya Siddha prayer from the spiritual world to help us connect to the spiritual world through sound, through offering the lamp to Damodar and singing the prayer. Okay? Yeah.
Maharaj, you talked about 2 fingers too short, and 1 finger represented the effort, and another finger mercy of the Lord. In the past time, Mother Yashoda's effort was present.
Yes.
But why was it still
Because he didn't want to be bound.
My question is, then it should be only 1 finger short.
Yeah. So it wasn't working. You have to have 2. I understand. I got your math. But until Krishna exhibited his Kripa Shakti, she wasn't able to bind him. So by your logic, using your logic, it should have been 1 finger too short, not 2. But the lesson was both. Both her effort and Krishna's mercy needed. Thus 2. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We're going to end. Let's go for Damodara Astaka. And you all know what to do. If there's anyone that's new and doesn't know what to do, just follow what everyone else is doing. We'll go over to the photo of Yasoda Damodar, and someone's going to sing the Damodara Astaka song, and we'll all offer lamps